Hello, future scientists. Welcome to our fascinating journey into the world of biology. Today, we are diving into a topic that touches everyone's life, puberty, and the incredible hormonal changes that transform us from children to adults. We'll explore this journey through 4 levels of understanding, from the basics to the most advanced concepts. Get ready to uncover the secrets of your own body. Ready to understand why your body is changing? Let's start with the easy stuff and get a basic grasp of what puberty is all about. Puberty is a truly amazing phase of life. It's the period when your body undergoes a series of rapid changes, developing from a child into a reproductively mature adult. For girls, this usually kicks off between 8 and 13 years of age, and for boys, typically between 9 and 14. The entire process is orchestrated by tiny but powerful chemical messengers called hormones, which are like the body's internal command signals, telling different parts what to do and when. In boys, the primary hormone driving these changes is testosterone. It's responsible for things like your voice getting deeper, muscles growing stronger, and the development of facial and body hair. Meanwhile, in girls, the key hormones are estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen leads to breast development, widening of the hips, and the onset of menstrual periods. These hormones ensure both male and female bodies are prepared for their adult roles. Now, let's check your understanding with a few quick questions. First, can you define what puberty is in your own words? Second, name 2 major hormonal changes you would expect to see in boys during this period. And finally, which specific hormone is mainly responsible for breast development in girls? Take a moment to think about these. Alright, building on our foundation, let's explore puberty in a bit more detail, understanding the key players and how they coordinate these changes. Puberty isn't just a collection of changes, it's a critical biological milestone, a carefully orchestrated transition from childhood to reproductive maturity. This entire process is kickstarted by signals from your brain, specifically involving a complex communication pathway called the hypothalamic pituitary gondal, or HPG, axis. Think of it as the body's central command system for reproduction, ensuring everything happens at the right time. The HPG axis begins in the hypothalamus, a part of your brain, which releases gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH. This GnRH then signals the pituitary gland, located at the base of your brain, to release 2 vital hormones, follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, and luteinizing hormone, or LH. These 2 hormones are the primary messengers that then travel through your bloodstream to your gonads, the testes in males and ovaries in females to trigger the production of sex hormones. In males, LH stimulates the testes to produce testosterone, the main male sex hormone, which drives muscle growth, voice deepening, and hair development. FSH, along with testosterone, is essential for starting sperm production. In females, FSH stimulates the ovaries to produce estrogen, leading to breast development and hip widening. LH, on the other hand, triggers ovulation and the production of progesterone, which prepares the uterus for a potential pregnancy and regulates the menstrual cycle. Time to test your knowledge at the medium level. First, explain the roles of the hypothalamus and pituitary gland in starting puberty. Next, name the 2 main gonadotropins released by the pituitary. Then, how does testosterone specifically affect male secondary sexual characteristics? After that, describe the key functions of both estrogen and progesterone in females during puberty. And finally, what do we mean by the HPG axis? Ready to dive deeper? Let's analyze the intricate details of puberty, connecting the dots between hormones, development, and influencing factors. The onset of puberty is a sophisticated neuroendocrine event, essentially a reawakening of the HPG axis, which was largely quiet during childhood. The crucial trigger is the pulsatile release of GnRH from the hypothalamus. This isn't a steady flow, It's a rhythmic, burst-like release, and this pulsatility is absolutely essential because a continuous release would actually desensitize the pituitary gland, making it unresponsive. These increasing GnRH pulses then stimulate the pituitary to secrete FSH and LH, setting the entire pubertal cascade in motion. Once FSH and LH are released, they act on the gonads to orchestrate sex hormone production. In males, LH primarily stimulates the Leydig cells in the testes to synthesize testosterone. FSH, in turn, acts on Sertoli cells, which are crucial for supporting sperm production. In females, FSH promotes the growth of ovarian follicles and estrogen production by granulosa cells. LH, conversely, is responsible for triggering ovulation and stimulating the corpus luteum to produce progesterone. These sex hormones, derived from cholesterol, then bind to specific receptors in target tissues, initiating gene expression changes that manifest as the physical transformations of puberty. The effects of these hormones are distinctly different between sexes. In males, testosterone dictates the deepening of the voice, increased muscle and bone density, and the growth of facial and body hair. Interestingly, in some tissues, testosterone is converted into a more potent form, dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, which plays a critical role in prostate growth and even male pattern baldness. In females, estrogen drives breast development, hip widening, and uterine growth, while progesterone is essential for regulating the menstrual cycle and preparing the body for potential pregnancy. Both sexes experience a significant growth spurt, but the timing and pattern are influenced by their respective dominant sex hormones. Let's tackle some harder questions. First, explain the significance of the pulsatile release of GnRH in initiating puberty. Second, how do FSH and LH specifically act on the testes to produce male sex hormones and support sperm production? Third, what is the role of DHT in male pubertal development? Fourth, elaborate on how estrogen and progesterone contribute to female secondary sexual characteristics and the menstrual cycle. Fifth, discuss at least 3 factors that can influence when puberty begins. Sixth, differentiate between central and peripheral precocious puberty. And finally, why is continuous GnRH release less effective than pulsatile release? Alright, for those ready for the ultimate challenge, let's explore puberty at a competitive, in-depth level, delving into the latest scientific insights and complex biological mechanisms. The precise mechanism that reawakens the GnRH pulse generator at puberty has been a major area of research. The kisspeptin hypothesis has emerged as pivotal. Kisspeptin, a neuropeptide, acts as a master switch. Neurons producing kisspeptin, located in specific hypothalamic nuclei, project directly onto GnRH neurons. Kisspeptin then binds to its receptor, GPR54, on GnRH neurons, powerfully stimulating their activity and initiating the crucial pulsatile release of GnRH. This discovery has revolutionized our understanding of pubertal onset, showing how external cues like nutrition, mediated by hormones like leptin, can influence kisspeptin activity and thus pubertal timing. At the cellular level, sex hormones exert their profound effects through intricate molecular mechanisms. Being lipid-soluble, they easily pass through cell membranes. Once inside, they bind to specific intracellular steroid hormone receptors. This binding triggers a conformational change, causing the receptor hormone complex to move into the nucleus. Here, they bind to specific DNA sequences called hormone response elements in the promoter regions of target genes. This direct interaction with DNA allows them to either activate or repress gene transcription, precisely controlling the synthesis of proteins that drive pubertal changes. Even epigenetic modifications, like DNA methylation, play a role in fine-tuning this gene regulation. All sex steroid hormones originate from cholesterol through a series of enzymatic conversions. This pathway starts with cholesterol being converted to pregnenolone. In the testes, pregnenolone progresses through intermediate steps to form testosterone, which can then be converted to dihydrotestosterone or, in some tissues, to estradiol by aromatase. In the ovaries, pregnenolone can be converted to progesterone, particularly by the corpus luteum. Alternatively, it can be converted to androgens, which are then aromatized into estrogens, like estradiol, primarily in the granulosa cells of the developing follicle. This two-cell, two-gonadotropin theory highlights the cooperative action of TECA and granulosa cells in estrogen synthesis, orchestrated by LH and FSH respectively. The HPG axis is not a simple one-way street, it's intricately regulated by complex feedback loops. High levels of sex steroids typically exert negative feedback, inhibiting GnRH, FSH, and LH release, maintaining hormonal balance. However, in females, a critical positive feedback mechanism exists. A sustained rise in estrogen during the menstrual cycle's follicular phase triggers an LH surge, which is essential for ovulation. The pubertal switch involves a fundamental change in the hypothalamus sensitivity to this negative feedback, allowing GnRH pulsatility to increase despite rising sex steroid levels, thereby driving pubertal progression. Understanding these feedback mechanisms is crucial for diagnosing and treating various disorders of pubertal development. Let's tackle the first 5 hardest questions. First, elaborate on the role of kisspeptin and its receptor, GPR54, in initiating GnRH pulsatility. Second, describe the molecular mechanism by which steroid hormones affect target cells, including hormone response elements. Third, trace the steroidogenesis pathway from cholesterol to testosterone in males and estradiol in females, noting key enzymes. Fourth, explain the pubertal switch in terms of hypothalamic sensitivity. And fifth, compare and contrast the causes and diagnostic markers of central and peripheral precocious puberty. Now for the remaining 5 hardest questions. Sixth, discuss the roles of both negative and positive feedback in regulating the HPG axis throughout puberty and the menstrual cycle. Seventh, how do environmental factors like nutrition and leptin modulate pubertal timing, considering evolutionary perspectives? Eighth, beyond testosterone, name another potent androgen and explain its specific role. Ninth, what is the two-cell, two-gonadotropin theory in ovarian steroidogenesis, and how does it relate to estrogen production? And finally, describe at least 2 genetic conditions that can cause delayed puberty due to hypogonadotropic hypogonadism. And that brings us to the end of our in-depth exploration of puberty and hormonal changes. I hope you've gained a deeper understanding of this remarkable biological process. Remember, learning doesn't stop here. For more engaging content and to continue your educational journey, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting biology lessons. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. See you next time.